Kate Magsamen-Conrad here with a little video to go over some of the items that we're asking you to vote about for the Health Communication Division. Okay, now first, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you to please participate in our NCA level presidential election vote. This one requires a little bit more searching, perhaps, in that you can't just click on the link that you see here in the video. You need to go to an email that you would have received from NCA Election Coordinator, great search term if you happen to misplace that email. That email is going to have your member number and your election passcode, and you have to have that information in order to vote. You can't just go to the website and log in. Okay, now the presidential election ends on the 31st, but our election for health communication, it ends on the 21st. And so what we're asking you to participate is voting for proposed changes to our bylaws that we discussed at our business meeting during NCA. You should have seen that come through on the Health Communication Division listserv with the subject NCA Health Communication Vote for Proposed Changes. Now, our link I've shared here, I'll put it in the comments as well. You can just click directly on that link, log into your NCA account, and you'll come to a window like this where you'll click proceed. You'll see an overview of the things that we're asking you to vote on that we discussed and approved at our business meeting. And at the bottom of that first screen there, you're going to see a blue link that goes to a document. That document describes in detail the changes. It shows you the existing bylaws and it shows you the changes we'd like to make to them. And I just want to orient you a little bit to the document and that the page number that you see here isn't referring to a physical page in the document, but it's referring to headers that you'll see it at the top. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. The first thing that we're asking you to vote on is how it is that we change the bylaws. So in the past, we've been trapped into this cycle of having to change things related to a discussion in person at our annual meeting. We want to expedite that process. We want to increase member participation. And so by voting for this, you'll allow us to do these things. The second is that previously the Legislative Assembly representatives were also your executive committee members. So we would like to extend that position within our division to other members of our division instead of the executive committee members. These will be folks that you will vote on within each election cycle, like you would vote for your vice chair-elect and your secretary if applicable. Next thing, this is what I was talking about with the page number and the page headers. So you should see here that it says page 3, 2 versus 3 reviewers, and that's actually going to be on page 4 of the document if you click that link, but you should be able to find things easily by looking at the headers on the top there. The next change is talking about the number of reviewers. Now, the current bylaws do kind of allow for there to be fewer than 3 reviewers, but it's not really crystal clear language. So we'd like to tighten that language. As a previous program planner, it gives program planners some more flexibility that they will more than likely need, even if not planning during a pandemic. It also creates less burden for our reviewers. We saw a major increase in our submissions. I hope we see even more of an increase next, and that means more things to review. So we want to make sure that we're respecting people's time and that we're giving people the opportunity to give us quality reviews instead of quantity reviews. Next thing, and actually a whole bunch of things from this point on, are related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the first thing you see here is that we had created an ad hoc DEI committee at the 2019 business meeting, and this is basically just approving that committee from going to ad hoc to a standing committee. They've done fantastic, wonderful work so far, and we'd really like to see that continue. The second thing we have related to DEI is an award to celebrate individuals within our division who are working so hard to promote equity and inclusion. One of the routes that we can take to improve the status of things within our discipline is to recognize these efforts in more formal ways, and that's what we're aiming to do here. In our 2019 business meeting, we had decided to try grants for graduate students related to some criteria surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And basically, this vote yes here is just to make those grants into a permanent thing. Now, this is the only one that we had a good amount of discussion on at the business meeting itself. The criteria for membership of the graduate students who apply and receive those grants. And so some folks wanted the graduate students who applied to be a member at the time of application, a member of our division. Other folks really wanted them to be a member, but they felt it was fine for them to agree to become a member after they had received the grant. And then the final group of individuals didn't want to have any membership ties to grant application or receiving grants at all. We're asking you to vote on one of these three options here for these grants. If you all approve these grants as a regular mechanism of our division, which I really hope that you do, we would love to expand them to support students in this way. And in order to do that, we need money. And in order to get money, we need to do fundraising. And in order to do fundraising well, you really need people who know how to do fundraising well. If I've learned anything, it's an art, and it's an art that I, in particular, do not have any talent for. We'd love to get members of our division who do have talent in those areas to help us raise funds for this important effort. Okay, now this next item that we have for you here is also related to making our division inclusive and celebrating the different types of scholarship that we have. And this is specifically looking at the criteria for an individual to serve on the committee that decides about the Distinguished Book, Article, and Chapter awards. And that specific criterion is that the individuals have to have authored a top paper in our division in the last several years. So we would like to remove that criteria so that we can open our committee review base to scholars who have not had to win a top paper award in our division. And then the last thing that we'd like you to vote on here is that it's also related to the award committee composition. As it stands, our bylaws, the immediate past chair chooses the members to be on our award selection committees. So we would like to take that out of that specific, usually social network of the immediate past chair and really broaden it to a lot of different members in our division, really to try to capture the different representation and scholarship that it's so great about the health communication division. And it's not just, for example, when I'm choosing the individuals that are in my personal social network. We'll work with the DE&I committee in order to generate that slate, and then as our division members vote on who will serve in our award committees. And that's what we have for you. We hope that you'll participate not only in our voting that we have coming for you, but also that NCA level election.